Is it a sin to use your stereo speakers for movies? Sinners, repent! Omar in Temple, Georgia wants to know. And let me put my glasses on here. Sorry about that. Sure, that sounded great on the microphone. Hey, Paul, is it a sin to use stereo for watching movies? I have a pair of speakers that I really like that are matched to a cheap receiver, but I eventually want to match them to a decent amplifier, preamplifier, and higher fidelity sources. Good for you. Since my space is limited, I want the focus to be listening and dancing with my wife. Yes, there's a man after my own heart. Good for you. Perhaps watch a movie, sporting events, etc. through my great sounding stereo system. So what are your thoughts on this? Thanks very much. Well, I don't think it's a sin whatsoever. I think that the best home theater speakers that I know of are actually audio speakers, stereo speakers. So in my home theater setup, now it's quite different than yours. It's fancier, but in the end, it's somewhat similar in that I always prefer the tonal quality, the way that stereo music-oriented speakers sound for the left, center, and the right more than I do traditional home theater-based speakers, because traditional home theater-based speakers, try and say that 3 times in a row, are designed more for the task at hand, or at least what the designer thinks, which is vocals, some music, and all of that. And I think they roll off the bottom ends because they know there's going to be a subwoofer. And I've never been enamored with speakers that are specific to home theater. Never. Now the surrounds are different. First off, surrounds aren't all that important. I know there's people who will argue with me, aficionados, that say, oh my God, they got to be identical. Well, in my experience, they really don't. There's so little going on in the effects channels. You just want those to disappear. And even in my home theater, I'm always, somebody's like, well, is there somebody here? Oh, it's the surround channels. That's what you want out of it, right? You want to be immersed in the scene or wherever you're at. But 90%, 80%, the vast majority of dialogue, of music, of everything comes out of those front 3 speakers. And those should be really, really good. And the best speakers made, in my opinion, are those that are perfected for music. So with that logic in mind, and if you followed that, and it sounds like you have, then when you're not playing a movie, hell yeah, crank on the music, dance with your wife, have the subwoofer hooked up. Most stereo systems have home theater bypasses. Ours do. So, for example, let's say that in your system you want to upgrade to a Stellar set. So our Stellar gain cell DAC and an amplifier, whatever you want to choose. But let's just use ours as an example because I'm pretty familiar with them. When you use those for music, you're going to crank it up, do whatever you do. It'll connect to your subwoofer. Life's good. Now you want to play a movie, right? Just on the remote, hit home theater bypass. And now the input that you have selected for home theater bypass is going to be the output of your surround receiver. And that's going to go straight through without benefit of the volume control. And now the volume will be controlled by the receiver, your home theater receiver, and your front speakers will become movie speakers. And again, the reason I suggest that what you're doing is exactly right is choose your speakers to be great on 2-channel audio, and you will never regret using them on home theater. Do the opposite, and you might have some misgivings. Hope that helps. All right. Thank you. Great question. And good for you. Dancing with your wife. Love it. Bye.